sure that you refine information as you move along. Now, in prompting, always make sure that you know the goal of whatever you want. So, first of all, to get solution to anything, you first of all have to know what the problem is. So, first of all, know what the problem is, know why you are coming to do your prompt, and then secondly, make sure you use relevant keywords and phrases in your prompt. After that, you can what write the prompt, and then you can then test and what evaluate that particular prompt. So consciously always make sure that you go through these steps before you write a prompt. Now let's look at the anatomy of a prompt. This is very important. Why is it important? First of all, anytime you want to write a prompt, you have to give it an instruction. What is an instruction? You can see in this particular text here that write a product launch. That is an instruction. You've given a particular instruction. So mostly, instructions have to do with verbs. So the right there is a verb. So most of the times, make sure that you put a verb into your prompt. So create, write, generate, uh, and so on and so forth. Make sure that you put those particular verbs in your prompt so that you can get exactly what you want from that particular prompt. The next one is that most at times you have to give an input data to your prompt. That is where you can be specific. So you want to give specific information to that particular prompt. You can also provide context. Sometimes, most at times, maybe you are just saying bank. Bank can mean river bank. It can also mean that there is money in the bank and all those other ones. So you have to give particular context to whatever prompt you are giving. Sometimes how detailed the prompt will be can also give that context to that particular prompt. You can also give a particular target and format and then example to that particular prompt. So let's look at this formula. So this is an example. You are an expert. So that is, if I say a formula, what I'm referring to is that I'm giving you an example of how you can ask your prompt. So this is an example. You are an expert in maybe finance. Create a particular, so you give the result, you give it the goal. The end goal is to do this, and then the content is for what? This particular context. Then your guidelines are as follows. Then you give specific constraints for that particular prompt. At the end of the day, this is an example. You are an expert marketer. Create 5 emails. So at this point in time, you've given it an instruction to create 5 emails for you, ending with a call to action. The goal is to what? Provide sales to my product. The emails are for my online audience of entrepreneurs. The emails should be what? Created and less than what? 200 words. So this is a very specific prompt that goes straight to the point. It's able to what? Provide instruction, give input data, give the context, give the target audience, and then it even has example within it. So it should be able to give us an output. So what I'll do right now is to open one of the AIs, and then we test this out. So I'll open ChatGPT, and then I'll copy that particular text into it. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen. I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes, sir. We can see your screen.
Yes, you can see your
Really?
screen.
Can you see the screen
Yeah, we can
on
see.
there? All right. So let me press. So this is Chat GPT, right? So at this point in time, it knows who exactly I am and it is able to give me that particular information. But at the end of the day, you notice that it didn't give us particular information, meaning that first of all, it doesn't know who I'm addressing it to. It doesn't know the name of the product, and also it doesn't know the call to action. So we in this context, I can now ask it to give to provide. I can give it those specific information for it to insert it into it for us. Okay, so that is an example. Uh, so what I'll do is that let's look at other examples. So these are examples. I will not read all of them out. I'll share the slides later so that you go and test it out and all that. So define the following terms and give a metaphor, meaning that I'll now provide those particular terms for it to use. So here to you notice that there is a what? A, an instruction over there, which is define. The second one is what? Elaborate. The third one is what? Create. Fourth one is what? Construct. Fifth one is what? Help me create a budget. So at the end of the day, you will see that in each of them, there are what? Instructions. Suggest, brainstorm, draft, list, formulate, compose, sum up, design, compose, recommend, craft, transform, translate. So at the end of the day, if you know how to use these keywords, it will help us. Even the 29th one is what? Explain the basics of. Okay, let's check some other prompts. In ITCS, for example, these are some examples. Write a Python function to reverse a string. Here too, you can see that there is a what? A, an instruction there. We also have create a function. Sort. Sort is a what? An instruction, is a verb. Find, write, implement, count, merge, generate, build, convert, represent, implement, perform, and then define. All those things are what? They are actions. So immediately you write that, it will be able to know the exact context to look at. In the nursing, for example, also, the reason why I wrote most of this for the various fields is that most of us can use this to learn. It's not the goal of this particular uh, seminar is not to help you to become bad students, but it's to help you to become good students. So anytime you are studying, you can use these prompts to help you to understand a lot of concepts in your field, in your field of study. You are not supposed to use this in certain assessments such as certain assignments, uh, end of semester project work, final year project work, and exams. You are not allowed to use this particular generative AI, but it can help you a lot. It's more or less like first we were having books in the physical books in the library, and then we moved on to Google search, and then now you have one human being that can answer all your questions. It doesn't mean you send library books to the exam room. You can refer to it for information, just to get ideas and then brainstorm. So if you are a nurse and you want to know the 5 rights of medical administration, it should be able to give you that particular information. If you want to know how to measure a patient's vital signs, all you need to do is to what? Provide that particular information. It will be able to give you that information. So let's quickly test out that particular prompt. How to get a patient vital signs. So you can use this particular as a learning tool. Use any of these tools. There are so many. We have the DeepSeek R1. We'll be testing them out. We'll test out the Grok, the Gemini, the Meta AI, and then the other ones. So currently we are here. So here it is telling you what exactly